Hi everyone, and welcome to my Facebook Live today. Today we are talking about gorgeous ghee, and it's the beginning of Indian week in the Cook with Janie kitchen. We're actually going to do Indian recipes today, tomorrow and Thursday at 1 o'clock every time. And it's great that you've come on. Welcome to everybody, and welcome to all of those people who will actually be watching afterwards. Hi Claire, nice to see your name popping up, and we're going to have a lovely time today. Ghee is clarified butter. It is a wonderful, wonderful recipe. It adds wonderful richness of flavor. Hi Steve, and this is Steve's special request to see clarified butter, alias ghee, made in the Thermomix. So thanks Steve for that suggestion. And if anybody else who's watching this later or who comes on to join in has any suggestions or special requests, please do let me know. I'd be really happy to consider putting together a theme for a different week of Facebook Live videos. So what we've got here is we've got an empty Thermomix TM6 bowl. Really easy, and you probably saw the photo of the beautiful ghee earlier this morning. I made some last night. And hi Denise, great to see you. And it is so delicious. I had just run out last week, so Steve, your request came in at a perfect moment. And there's Tina popping up, great. Hi Leslie. And so what we've got here is we've got our Thermomix TM6. I was just standing on tippy toes to look inside. And I'm just going to add 500 grams of butter. And because it's 2 packs of 250 grams of butter, no problem with weighing. I could of course weigh it because the Thermomix has built-in weighing scales. And there we are. And I've used the scales on many of my other videos, so you'll be able to see those quite easily. I'm going to pop that into the bin. There it goes, and out of the way. Very easy to just add your butter to your Thermomix. And it's on the home screen now, so I'm going to set the time for 30 minutes. 30 seconds, helps if you go up to 30 minutes. And Varoma, which is the top temperature there for a good rolling boil. And I'm going to put the lid on, most important. And then I'm going to turn it just 1 click to speed spoon. Now the Thermomix is just going to tick away there for 30 minutes while I can go and do something else. Obviously today I'm talking to you, so I won't be going anywhere else right now. But for 30 minutes, that's just going to melt and then boil the butter. And butter is about 80 to 85% butter fat. So it isn't all completely fat. It does have a little bit of leftover water and milk solids in it. So what this is going to do is boil off that steam, which you'll see coming up, and that will evaporate away, and what you've got left is the pure butter fat and some milk solids underneath. So I'll explain that as we get to it. And then once we've done our 30 minutes of melting and boiling the ghee, creating the ghee out of the butter actually, and it's unsalted butter by the way, that's really important. And once we've done that 30 minutes of cooking, then I'm going to leave it to rest for 45 minutes. And I've already done one ahead of time because I'm not going to make you wait for 45 minutes. So I'll just pop that there. And I'll show you the ghee here that's solid, while it is still solid out of the fridge. This is made from organic butter, so it's actually organic ghee, which I've never found to buy. You might be able to buy it in some countries, and it really is delicious. And of course, whatever organic butter you choose, that will affect the flavor of your ghee. And this is delicious. It just happens to be my local supermarket's organic butter. And sometimes I make my own butter from cream, and it's great to be able to use that too. So that's my ghee that's already made, and I'm going to show you the ghee that I have that's hot, and I can't tip it. So I know John likes me to tip it towards the camera to show you, but I'm not going to do that today because it might pour out. It's very thin and liquidy because it's melted and boiled. What I've got here is I've got a little sieve that just fits on the top of the 500 ml jar that I've got here, and I've got some folded over 4 layers of cheesecloth. Cheesecloth is great to use just to catch any of the milk solids that try to get into my jar, because I don't want the milk solids, I only want the liquefied boiled butter, which is now ghee. And then I'll get that gorgeous bright yellow color. So what I'm going to do now is just pour this through, and I'll show you how slowly it needs to pour. So there we are. I'll turn it so you can see, and I'll just start it really slowly. Righty-o. And I'm just pouring this here. There we are, very slowly. Sometimes you might be able to see, if I turn the jug a little bit this way, you might be able to see some of those milk solids just floating in on the top of the melted butter. And that's what the cheesecloth is for, because I want to be able to show you that. I'm pouring really, really slowly because I only want the melted butter to go through the cheesecloth and the sieve to get into the jar. And of course the cheesecloth absorbs a little bit of your ghee. I'm not too worried about that. And so this will probably take me 2 or 3 minutes to pour it through. And what I wanted to talk about while I'm doing that is I wanted to say ghee is fabulous to use in your cooking. Clarified butter, of course, if you're thinking of French cooking and beautiful rich sauces, but for Indian cooking it is ghee. And it's a very common cooking fat, especially for frying, because it's much more stable than frying in butter, because you're getting rid of all of the milk solids here. So here we are again, pouring through again. Just let that drizzle through, and it's smelling fantastic. I wish that I could actually have smell-o-vision, because this smells gorgeous. And we're just going straight through here, adding a little bit at a time. You can see that there's a tiny bit of milk solids there. The milk solids actually tend to get caught on the base and sides of the Thermomix, which actually allows you to create this beautiful melted clarified butter. John, do you have a question?
So when you next pour, if you come round to the side of the table a bit and point the jug right at the camera, they'll see it coming out.
Rightio.
There we go.
Let's see here. And I know it's not very close to the camera right now, but I can't really pick it up when it's this liquidy and pouring so slowly. But this takes a little bit of patience. It's worth every bit of patience that you have to add at this point in the recipe, because you're going to get a beautiful butter, ghee, and clarified butter. And so what you've got is you've got an ingredient that you can use for frying. You can add flavor to Indian recipes. I like adding flavor. I often use ghee instead of butter. Even if I'm doing something simple like frying an egg, it is amazingly good flavor when you do that. And if you roast some spices for some of your Indian dishes, you can actually have a beautiful flavor in your spices if you roast them with the ghee. Just a tiny bit, it doesn't take much. And here we go again, another bit of butter into my little sieve. I'm pouring through the cheesecloth. And what I'm going to be left with, oh sorry John, did you have another?
Would you like a question?
Yes, sure, another question.
Steve says, I make our butter in the TM6. Is there a difference on the cooking time when the butter is homemade in the TM6 as opposed to store-bought?
The only thing that I find is that it evaporates more. So instead of making your ghee with the, it needs to evaporate more, because you can't get quite as much liquid out of your homemade butter as you do out of a store-bought butter. So what you'll probably need to do is replace the measuring cup on the Thermomix lid and actually replace it with the simmering basket instead, and that'll just let more of the steam evaporate really easily. And my wonderful assistant has just handed me the simmering basket. So you would just take the measuring cup off and replace it with the simmering basket. That allows more steam to evaporate. And that will help you when you're using your homemade butter to make ghee. And you pop that back on there, put that there, and do another little drizzle here. And I think I saw a comment that somebody said they like making their butter biscuits with, who was that, John? Do you remember?
That was Lisa.
Oh, fabulous idea, Liza. That would be so delicious because ghee has a wonderful flavor, and it's also really, really useful for making sauces. French cooking, it's classic to use clarified butter, and it's just incredible how you can do this and enjoy the beautiful flavors. The other interesting thing about ghee, and I think this is probably why it's so widely used in India, is you don't have to refrigerate it when you've taken all the milk solids out, because it's only the milk solids that are going to actually change the flavor of your butter and make it go sour over the course of time. And when you do this and you cook your butter to get rid of the milk solids and to get rid of your liquid in the butter, then actually you have a much longer lasting butter as ghee. And so it doesn't have to be kept at room temperature. It can be kept at room temperature, or you could put it in your fridge. You can even freeze it. I tend to make about 500 grams at a time, and the recipe is in Fast and Easy Indian Cooking. And I also give a tip about how to, in the book, I also give a tip about how to make 750 grams of butter into ghee. So that's really nice and easy. You only just cook it for 5 minutes longer, and you get a bigger amount of ghee. It's quite nice to put into little jars and give away to friends who love cooking, because they'll be very impressed that you actually took the time and effort to make your own ghee. So we're almost there now. And what I've got, oh sorry John, you have a question?
No, there's quite a few comments and questions coming in.
Lovely.
The next one's an interesting one. It says from Teresa, I always thought ghee was unhealthy.
Ah, very interesting idea. That probably came from the 1970s, 80s, 90s, where everybody thought that butter was unhealthy. And in actual fact, that's been fairly much disproven by nutritionists and scientists over the course of the years. It's considered a good fat now. So one of the reasons that I like to make my own ghee is because then I have control over the ingredients, and I know that it's, if I choose organic butter, I know that it's from a great source and it will taste really delicious. So you might be happier making your own. Any other questions, John?
Yes, another interesting one. What would happen if you use salted butter?
If you use salted butter, what will happen is you'll be evaporating out the liquid and not using the milk solids. So you'll have about 20 to 25% intensification of the saltiness in your ghee if you use salted butter. And that's why it's always recommended to use unsalted butter, because otherwise it just might be a bit too salty. So, any other questions?
Steve said thank you for the advice.
All right, you're very welcome, Steve. And if you have a subscription to the Thermomix recipes platform or online system called Cookie Do, then you can look on Cookie Do and you'll find lots and lots of recipes that use ghee. And if you want to look online anyway for recipes that use ghee, or use my cookbook or anything like that, then feel free to do that too. And I hope that you've been inspired today to make your own ghee, to make real food made easy, and to enjoy cooking at home. Many blessings, everyone. Stay safe and keep healthy. Bye.